Brian Borgen here with Reelwind. I watched the movie Love, Wedding, Repeat. It's available on Netflix. This was it's an elegant, kind of quick moving and quirky romantic comedy set entirely at a wedding in Rome. The groom is Italian and the bride is English, but most of the movie revolves around this English wedding party. And primarily the bride's brother Jack, who's extremely polite to a fault. And the movie starts with Jack meeting his sister's friend, and who kind of falls for her, but because he's so polite, he misses his only opportunity to connect with her. Fast forward to 3 years later at Jack's sister's wedding, and he spends the entire day determined to make sure his sister has the perfect wedding, while he's trying to handle escalating disasters and redirecting dozens of mishaps. In addition to all that, he's really trying to woo the love of his life that shows up to the wedding. I really liked the comedy in it, and that it wasn't too over the top. It was really well structured and well acted. The chaotic scenes switch from one situation to another, all tying together to arrive at a final ending. Then the movie abruptly presses reset. Rewind back to the start of the day with the same chaotic situations playing out with a slightly different initial step. And so one particular change creates a very different outcome, with the last scenario, in an unintended way, results in the ultimate goal of the day. So really well acted. It's a fun movie to watch. I hope you get a chance to watch it. The movie, again, it's on Netflix for free. And I would give the movie 4 out of 5 wedding bells. It's a little quirky, but it's very well done, very well acted. And for Reelwind, I'm Brian here at Overture West Ashley. See you next week.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Reelwind. So today we're going to be talking about a movie called Love, Wedding, Repeat. It is a 2020 film, so it just came out, and you can find it on Netflix, which is really nice. So the movie is like an hour and about 40 minutes long, but it's definitely worth it. Love, Wedding, Repeat is one of those classic cheesy love stories with like a little bit of a different, very comical, circumstantial twist to it. The character types are very stereotypical and also yet subtle, but also very exaggerated. And I know that sounds very confusing, but once you watch the movie, it'll kind of make more sense. So the characters, I'll give you kind of like a rundown on the characters. So you have Jack, and he is the main protagonist, who is the quirky boy next door kind of character. As his character kind of develops with the movie plot, you also see him also being this glue character. Like, he kind of keeps everybody together. He's the fixer. He's always trying to fix things and hold everybody together in a way. Make everything good, I guess. Always trying to make the best out of the situation. Always trying to do things for other people. Just the good guy, I guess you could say. So we also see that he's a good brother, and how the plot of the movie kind of centers around him being sure his sister has like the best wedding ever. I mean, I think all siblings can say that they want their sibling to have a good wedding. But anyways, that brings us to the other character, his sister, Haley. Obviously, she's the bride, and she's the visually normal, scattered bride. That's the way she's represented visually speaking. She gives off this vibe like good-hearted or well-intended. Even though she's like running around from one place to the next, you still get that vibe from her. Her husband Roberto, even though it's his wedding too, is a very minute character, but we don't really see him a lot at all. He's kind of the background groom, if you will. He's there for the story plot, but he doesn't really have a big role other than to help the progression of the story and to get the story kind of like plot. He's just the typical nice yet out of the loop groom in most wedding movies. Let's see. Maybe. All right, so we don't see a best man with Roberto, but we do have a bridesmaid, sort of. Brian is one of Haley and Jack's longtime friends, and he is very clearly the slacker in the friend group. That kind of makes him sound like a bad person. But I mean, we all kind of have that one friend that maybe slacker is the wrong way to say it. He's a very happy-go-lucky and a little bit goofy character and friend. We see him about as much as we see Jack, so he makes a perfect supporting character for Jack's more no-cutting corners personality. Another supporting and almost main character for Jack is Dina. And Dina is Haley's friend from America. She is also Jack's love interest. So they have this will they, won't they kind of dynamic love story back and forth thing going on. Just like Jack, Dina is the very stereotypical girl next door character. But unlike Jack, she's very free-spirited, kind of like goes where the wind will take her, but also very dedicated to her job. Not too afraid to speak her mind either, which he doesn't do a lot of. So that makes her like a really good love interest for him because opposites attract. So like most movies, we also have the ex-girlfriend because we need that drama. And the ex-girlfriend in this movie is named Amanda. She's the very stereotypical mean girl character. Your typical popular and beautiful girl with a bad attitude. Honestly, I don't really like her that much. So she served her role very well, I guess. We also have another ex to add to the chaos. And that is Mark. Mark is one of Haley's school friends and maybe an ex-lover. I'm honestly not too sure about that part, but his character is the lovesick, crazy one. Like, he's the one that you see him arrive in the movie and you think, oh my gosh, what's about to happen? And that kind of adds to Jack's role in a way, trying to make sure that his sister's wedding goes off without a hitch. And that's when complete and utter chaos ensues, is when this guy shows up. And that really gets the ball rolling for kind of like the main perspective of the movie, if in a way. So finally, we have our supporting characters who play a big part in the progression of the overall story line, I guess, and the other characters. The ones that add the ending plot, kind of make everything come circle, I guess, those kind of characters. Um, Sydney, bless his heart, is the one who is so annoying that you kind of love him. You kind of root for him in the end. He's the very clueless, well-intended, goofy one who has no social abilities whatsoever, but he is trying very hard, and it's annoying and endearing all at the same time. Chaz is Amanda's current boyfriend. He's kind of unapologetically himself, but at the same time very insecure. Don't ask me how that works, but you see it. It's almost like a fake, like, oh, I'm the best kind of way. Like, he's trying to oversell himself to combat his insecurities. But his girlfriend, like, with a girlfriend like that, I can see why he might be so insecure. But he, like, means well, but he's not too sure what to do in his current relationship. And there's some strain going on in there, so you kind of get to see that relationship have a back and forth as well. Then there's Rebecca, and she's the last character in this little group. She is the overall energized, talkative one. She also means well, but her excessive talking makes her come off a little badly, kind of like annoying. Oh yeah, and then there's like this random rich guy who's also part of this little cast named Vitelli. He's a movie producer. I honestly have no idea why he's there, but his role helps add to some of the comedy as well. Visually, the movie's extremely beautiful. I don't know where they filmed, but it was gorgeous. It really helped add to that overall wedding loving vibe, if you will. Like, it had a very regal, well-to-do feel to it, somewhere that would totally be a wedding venue. As I said before, when it comes to the characters, the stereotypes are a little over-exaggerated, but it sort of adds to all the over-the-top situations that are occurring. And it helps to it makes it comical and really draws you into the overall film itself. Honestly, the hour and 40 minutes will fly by. I literally was laughing out loud through the whole thing. The film title, because I know that a lot of times people try to see where the film title comes into the actual film itself. Without trying to give away too much, I will say that the title does make sense as the story kind of unfolds, and the way they execute this is very well done and transitions very clearly between dialogue and the scenes, which is very nice. So there's not jumps in between where you're like, whoa, what's going on? Or like, what just happened? I'm confused. And that's always really nice, because the less you have to say that in a film, the more you can focus on the overall entirety of the film and not end up turning it off. So, even though the movie is comical, it does touch on some very beautiful and touching things. Very touching moments happen in this film as well. The film itself, it also touches on some really deep emotional issues without losing its lighthearted undertone, if you will. It kind of touches on, I don't want to say the parental situation, but why Jack is so protective of his sister and why he's the one that's kind of taken on this role of making sure that it goes all according to plan and that it's just perfect for her. And it kind of also feeds into why his sister, I guess, is so nervous about things going wrong or things happening. And maybe a few of her insecurities in a way. Because, I mean, I don't know about guys, but women, we all envision our wedding days. We all have an idea about how it'll go. And so it's kind of understandable once you realize their dynamic as siblings and how they grew up. And so it's nice to see them have their little touching moments. And also the friends having heart to hearts with one another as well. So, like I said, it touches on some other emotional aspects other than just comical, but it always still holds that kind of like lively undertone that's full of love. So, the biggest theme of this movie is obviously love, but not, I guess, okay, let's cut that part out. The biggest theme of this movie is truly love. You have this loving feeling during the entire film. The situations also help conjure up the different feelings that love can bring. It touches on what love really is. It's unpredictable, extraordinary, and sometimes very sad. Love is about both people in the relationship and not just one person. The overall couple themselves deserves happiness in their relationship. And sometimes that happiness requires sacrifice from one or even both of those people. And sometimes that can be like really hard to face and deal with. Like, love is forgiving and kind and patient and understanding, but it can also be hard, and sometimes things happen that bring out the possessive and dark side of love. At those times, we need to remember that love is also understanding. At those times, we need to remember that love is also undeniably apologetic of those parts of itself, the more darker and possessive parts that it has to it. As long as you are true to yourself and also think of the other person or even people involved, love will never fail. It always seems to find a way. That's kind of the takeaway, I guess, of what this movie was going with. In a sense, it just showed all the different types of love and how all these emotions are also attached to this overwhelming feeling and this overwhelming word. And that's crazy to think that all this stuff can be smushed into a singular word. And then the other thing that touched on was fate. And it kind of showed how some things are fate and sometimes there is more than one outcome for that fate. It also kind of shows how we make our own love story, but how those who love us and that we surround ourselves with help that love story come into being. So I guess in a sense, it kind of was saying there is a fate, but maybe there's like a different outcome to that fate in the same way. And we all have our choices, and depending on circumstance and depending on the choices that we make within those circumstances, that can lead to different paths to that outcome, which is fate. I didn't mean to get so deep. Like I said, it's a comical movie that does touch on some bigger, broader aspects to it. But overall, like, it was a great movie. I really liked it, to be honest. It's been a while since I actually had a movie capture my full attention. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 destroyed wedding cakes. So yeah, but I mean, that's just my opinion. So the next thing is for you guys to go onto Netflix, type in Love Wedding Repeat, grab your popcorn, grab your favorite drink, watch it, and then review it yourself. Let us know if you also felt the same way, or maybe not. It could have been a flop for you. Just let us know in the doobly-doo or the comments below, and we would love to see what you guys think too. We'll see you next time.